I wanted to say thank you for the xylophone you sent me from China. I know better now how it must have been, how blue light swamps and transfigures your face through such a slow transaction.
Firstly, I wanted to say thank you for the wedding veil you sent me in the mail, and how it initiated a story about a woman in a hotel room falling and hitting her head, but being saved by the comb of the veil, which I read at our last reading in Belfast on the 18th of September 2014. I've heard that light described as blue face, referring to the glow of a laptop or a tablet or a phone, or an owner/consumer's basking countenance.
Now I know your countenance, your blue face. Back then I had to ask my family, friends, who sent us a xylophone from China. My son held it to the blue of the sky to play 4 clean notes and declare the music flying.
I held up my phone to my blue face to play 4 unclean notes which I read with Billy Ramsell in Cork on the 23rd of September 2014 in order to illustrate the way in which a woman texting next to me on a bus the day before brought back into my head the song Camptown Races, which I had previously been trying to forget. I say the notes were unclean because I made a mistake dialing 6565 and accidentally phoned a friend during the reading. 5654.
I named my son Sky, so you said it was a self-portrait. I named my son Skylar, for Skylar Colfax of South Bend. He'd cast the vote to make pass the amendment. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist.
In Belfast, you used the phrase, the glockenspiel's an airplane, and I responded with the phrase, and the witch is a warning, as a reference to the idea of over-explaining a poem before it has begun. My initial idea was to explain to the audience a poem that does not exist about a woman slipping and hitting her head and being saved from death by the metal grip of the veil. I intended to relate the covert nature of a poem masquerading as an introduction with the face concealed by a veil, but I ended up drowning in unmemorizable words.
Shall exist within the United States, or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Patrick, forgive me. It wasn't a xylophone. It was a glockenspiel. It wasn't a rainbow. It was close to a rainbow. Some of the keys had been misplaced. My son held it to the sky to play 4 clean notes in the wrong order. Doodah, doodah. It was an aeroplane, not a glockenspiel, that brought me here for this.
One of the first things we discussed in Belfast was whether or not to face each other. Last night in London we discussed going back to back, like enemies, like the woman laid on her back saved by the grip of the veil comb. That was all I knew. She had fallen far enough, but could not remember how. Must have. I started writing something like must have, something must have slipped, a grip, a disc. No, something on yellow, a plate of yellow. Plate of must have slipped on hotel breakfast, must have slipped it under the door, must have left it for her wake-up call. The places we stayed over the past 9 days in order of hotel preference: Cork, Galway, Derry, Belfast, Dublin. I cannot speak for London because I live here, although I hear it was designed by a budget airline.
Dear son, I'm going to tell you about the trip I've been on. How on the aeroplane I sat next to the propeller. We propelled ourselves through the murky depths with ease. The sky is green, the sea is blue. A life jacket crouched, hungry as a cigarette, beneath the seat. I missed your body, the length and width of it all lit up with gold, not quite all your own. What you don't know yet is that there are too many people in the world, and you are one of them. When the captain decided to tell us the truth, he played 4 clean notes over the loudspeaker in the wrong order.
During the reading with Billy in Cork, I mentioned the chilling nightmares I had about Al Jolson in blackface playing the role of E.P. Christie singing Camptown Races, and I explained that the song was written by Stephen Foster, who died from a fever and loss of blood after fainting and hitting his head on a wash basin. I had not until now related this to the woman slipping clean down on her breakfast by the bedpost, which brought to mind the bedbugs, the flea, the slippery yellow tea towel, tea bag yellow and yellow smears and screams on plate of yells of wrong of foot. Hit her head and bundled, hit her head and bundled, bunched, each pleat in the veil gripped in blunt metal flea comb. Come home, they had beckoned outside the cheap hotel, smell the bed and break fast, Colfax.
Dear Schuyler Colfax, it is my understanding that you died attempting to walk to a speaking engagement in minus 30 degrees weather. This was partially irresponsible. Your heart wholly stopped. It is my understanding that you died 4 years to the day after Stephen Foster fell and hit his head on a bathroom sink. A curtain of red came down, a veil. It is my understanding that the day of your death coincides also with the days of the deaths of a group of writers, whose collaborations in writing ran a thread through and around themselves that never snapped, maintaining them in pleasurable captivity. It is as if the layers of dates built and maintained their own novel logic, a secret mnemonic of the material world.
And she was a material girl. You know that she was living all bundled, bunched up on the floor of the hotel room and saved by the comb of the veil. I wore a white V-neck t-shirt to read with you in Belfast. I wore a green t-shirt with white spots to read with Christodolos in Derry. Then I wore the same green t-shirt with white spots again to read with Christodolos in Dublin. I wore a white polo neck t-shirt to read with Billy in Galway. Then I wore the same white polo neck t-shirt again to read with Billy in Cork. Then I wore the same white V-neck t-shirt to read with you in London.
In order to write about the xylophone you sent me, I should have known I would have to build a new memory palace. Each narrative would require its own architecture, a home or a hotel. The distinctions between some colours would be more fragile than others. Some of the notes would be in the wrong order, as an icon's gold will reflect you back instead of allowing you entrance. To enter would require perfect balance. One linguist thought not to tell his daughter the sky's colour at all. Children who draw a blue sky draw the skies of their friends, not their own. Its being told transfigures us. Here, beneath the green heavens, where we are making our home, I find I share the stage with another person, and we face each other. I hang on the fact of his face. One golden boy who seemed ordinary, but is not. One dark gold boy. The task of naming beauty, slowly, tenderly, redundantly, repeatedly, repeatingly. He plays 4 clean notes on the xylophone. He plays 4 clean notes on his phone. He has a slight smile in the wrong order. Everything not beneath the orange light evaporates. I think I might be allowed to say more words now. I'd like to think you know what this might be like. I'm frightened I could say just anything in a poem this shape. Tomorrow, I'll come home.
Come home, they beckoned outside the cheap hotel, smell the bed and break fast little scrap of plastic feather gripped in bundle wrapped up, flea-ridden damn hole, soddy breakfast, yellow stain, soddy breakfast pickle off the back of some special offer during the low season. Hit her head on the way down, all cotton wool and bunched at the grip point bundle, bunched up at each pleat in the scrunchies. 20 years ago. Hit hard, hit her head, went down fast, her fall was dust, just after breakfast. In only they hadn't put such mustard on the plate, on the post, on the flea comb, on the bedpost, on the fell swoop, but slipped and fell on the hotel yellow slipper shower curtain, but the flea comb gripped, thankfully. The flea comb home welcomes you comfortably with yellow sheets on the line, that special yellow homemade feel. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the veil. You are a lifesaver. Like that wartime cigarette tin or the Bible in that film, or pleat veil or bundle bunch, but the veil comb all scrunched up worries, the veil comb all scrap of plastic feather, all fast little grip in bundle bunching tea down the hole, but the veil comb, the last thing she thought of, the veil comb saved her life a little longer.